My family want me to pay for my sister's wedding because I got a promotion at work, even though she was horrible to me growing up. So I snapped back and told them what I really thought. Hey, everyone. I'm here to share a story that's been weighing on me for a while. It's a mix of family drama, personal growth, and a moment of clarity that I never thought I'd have. Buckle up, it's going to be a long one. So, a bit of background. I'm 28, and I recently landed a promotion at work that comes with a significant pay raise. This is the first time in my life that I felt financially secure, and it's a big deal for me. Growing up, my family struggled with money. My parents worked hard, but there always seemed to be more month than money, if you know what I mean. I had to work multiple part-time jobs through college, and I graduated with a decent amount of student debt. So, getting this promotion felt like a victory not just for me, but for my entire family. Now, let's talk about my sister, Emily. She's 26 and has always been the golden child in our family. Growing up, she could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. I was often overshadowed by her achievements, and while I tried to support her, she made it incredibly difficult. She was the type of sister who would mock my interests, belittle my friends, and throw tantrums if things didn't go her way. The worst part? She was the queen of manipulation, often playing the victim to get my parents on her side. Fast forward to now. Emily is getting married in a few months. I was genuinely happy for her at first. I thought maybe this would be a fresh start for our relationship. But then things took a turn. My parents called me one evening and asked if I could help cover some of the wedding costs since I had recently received my promotion. At first, I was taken aback. I mean, I understand that weddings are expensive, but I couldn't help but think of all the times my sister made my life miserable growing up. I hesitated and told them I'd think about it. As the days went by, my parents kept bringing it up. You know, Emily really deserves this. It would mean a lot to her if you could help out, they'd say. I felt a mix of anger and frustration bubbling up inside me. It was like they were trying to guilt me into paying for a celebration of someone who had never supported me. Finally, I snapped. One evening, during dinner with my family, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I took a deep breath and said, "Why should I pay for Emily's wedding when she was so horrible to me growing up?" The room went silent. My parents exchanged glances, and Emily looked like I had just slapped her. I continued, "You all seem to forget how she treated me. The constant teasing, the way she would manipulate situations to make me look bad, and how I was always in her shadow. Just because I have a little extra money now doesn't mean I owe her anything." My mom started to protest, saying I was being selfish. But I pressed on. Selfish? I've spent years trying to support her, to be there for her, and all I got in return was ridicule. I'm finally in a position where I can start saving for my future, and you want me to throw that away for someone who never cared about me? Emily's face turned red, and she started crying. "I can't believe you would do this to me. It's my wedding," she shouted. I felt a pang of guilt, but it quickly faded. "It's your wedding, yes, but that doesn't mean I have to pay for it. You've had your time in the spotlight, and now it's my turn to focus on myself." The conversation escalated, and I ended up leaving the dinner early. I felt a mix of relief and anxiety. I had finally stood up for myself, but I knew it would come with consequences. In the days that followed, my family was cold toward me. They didn't reach out, and I felt isolated. I questioned whether I had done the right thing. Was I being too harsh? But deep down, I knew I had to prioritize my own well-being. Eventually, my parents reached out to me, but it was more of a lecture than an apology. They told me that family should come first and that I should be willing to support Emily in her time of need. I calmly told them that I would always love them, but I wouldn't be guilted into supporting someone who had never supported me in return. I spent a lot of time reflecting after that. I realized that I had spent too long trying to fit into a mold that my family had created for me. I didn't owe anyone anything, especially not for the sake of maintaining a toxic relationship. A few weeks later, I received an unexpected message from Emily. She was upset, but also seemed to be reflecting on her own behavior. She apologized for how she treated me growing up and acknowledged that she had taken my support for granted. It was a small step, but it felt significant. I'm still unsure about what the future holds for my relationship with my family. I've learned the importance of setting boundaries, and while I'm open to reconciliation, I won't let anyone walk all over me again. On to the next story. My parents skipped my graduation to attend my stepbrother's party, and I'm contemplating whether to cut them out of my life. Hey everyone, I don't really know where to start with this, but I feel like I need to share my story and get some outside perspectives on what's been happening in my life lately. So buckle up, this is going to be a long one. First, a little background. I'm 22, and I just graduated from college. It's been a long, tough journey filled with late nights, endless assignments, and a lot of stress. I'm the first in my family to graduate, and honestly, it felt like a huge achievement not just for me, but for my parents too. I had always hoped they'd be there to celebrate this milestone with me, considering how much they had sacrificed for my education. Now, my family dynamic is a bit complicated. My parents divorced when I was 10, and my dad remarried a few years later. He has two kids with my stepmom, one of whom is my stepbrother, Jake, who is 19. Jake is a good kid, but he's always been the golden child in my dad's eyes. He's athletic, charming, and has a natural talent for everything he does. I've always felt like I was in his shadow, but I tried not to let it get to me. Fast forward to my graduation day. I had been looking forward to this day for months. I had planned everything down to the last detail, the ceremony, the dinner afterward, and of course, having my family there to cheer me on. I even bought a cap and gown that I felt proud to wear. This was my moment. The day before graduation, I called my parents to confirm plans. My mom sounded excited, but my dad was a bit distracted. He mentioned that Jake was having a birthday party that same day. I brushed it off, thinking it wouldn't interfere with my graduation. I mean, it was my graduation day, right? The next day, I woke up early, filled with nerves and excitement. I got ready, took pictures, and headed to the venue. As I walked across the stage to receive my diploma, I scanned the crowd for my parents. I saw my friends' families cheering and taking pictures, but my heart sank when I didn't spot my mom or dad. I told myself they might just be running late. After the ceremony, I was on cloud 9. I had graduated. But when I turned my phone back on, I saw a text from my mom. "Sorry, sweetie. We're at Jake's party. Hope you understand." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I couldn't believe they chose a birthday party over my graduation. I tried to push the feeling aside, but it just kept creeping back in. I spent the evening with friends and family who did come to support me, but I couldn't shake the disappointment. I kept thinking about how my parents weren't there for one of the most important days of my life. I felt so alone, even in a crowd of people who cared about me. The next few days were a blur. I tried to reach out to my parents, but every time I brought up graduation, they brushed it off as if it wasn't a big deal. My dad kept saying things like, "You know how busy things get with kids, and Jake really needed us." It was like I was talking to a wall. I felt invisible. After a week of this, I finally snapped. I called them both and let them have it. I told them how hurt I was, how I felt like I didn't matter to them. My mom tried to defend herself, saying they didn't mean to hurt me, but I could hear the excuses piling up. My dad just kept saying they had to be there for Jake, like that was justification enough. That conversation ended in tears. I hung up feeling more alone than ever. I started contemplating whether I wanted them in my life at all. I mean, if they could skip my graduation for a birthday party, what else would they prioritize over me in the future? It made me question the entire foundation of our relationship. I spent the next few weeks thinking about what to do. I talked to some close friends about it, and they all supported me in whatever decision I made. Some suggested cutting them out completely, while others said that maybe I should give them another chance. But how many chances is too many? Finally, I decided to take a break from them. I didn't respond to their texts or calls. I needed time to process everything without their influence, clouding my judgment. It felt liberating at first, but then I started to feel guilty. They're my parents, after all. Shouldn't I be trying to work things out instead of shutting them out? After a month of silence, my mom reached out again, asking if we could talk. I reluctantly agreed, but I was still on edge. When we met, she apologized profusely and said she didn't realize how much it hurt me. She mentioned that she had been feeling overwhelmed with everything and that she didn't mean to prioritize Jake over me. My dad was there too, and he echoed her sentiments, but I could tell he still didn't fully grasp the impact of their actions. We talked for hours, and while I appreciated their apologies, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was too little, too late. I told them that I needed time to think about our relationship and how I wanted to move forward. They seemed understanding, but I could see the disappointment in their eyes. Now, I'm still torn. Part of me wants to cut them out completely, but another part of me wants to believe that people can change, and that family is worth fighting for. I guess I'm just looking for some advice. Have any of you been in a similar situation? How did you handle it? I'm really struggling to figure out what to do next. What did you think of these stories? Let me know your thoughts about them in the comments, and thanks for listening.